All right. We got some decent attendance. How's everyone doing?
Doing all right. I don't know when you want to start the questions. I'm going to be in for like 10, 15 minutes, but just let me know when you want to start taking questions.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
You've got a question right off the bat. Drop it.
Yeah. So I guess my first one was I started noticing that the supplier.
Well, actually, sorry. Before we get started, Nate's recording this, so remember, like anything you don't want released, don't say it. Right?
Yeah. None of y'all's faces will be in it. It's just going to be the audio.
Exactly.
But yeah, any personal information that you don't want released to the public, don't mention it here. Or if you do, just let us know so that we can cut it out before we actually release it.
That's generous of you, Nate.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Chu.
So yeah, the first question I had was that I noticed that my supplier, he keeps the supplier, they kind of have a 34% discount, and they run that for like 3 days, and then I guess they just like stop for a day or two and then rerun it. So that's why I posted a question. I was like, my supplier has raised the price by like $5. Is that something that you guys have noticed with a lot of suppliers that they do like a discount every now and then, like frequently or infrequently, or?
Generally, a lot of suppliers run like a constant discount. Like it's almost like a compare app price, just the AliExpress version of it.
Shu, I would probably message the supplier directly and see if you can get in contact with them and just message them saying, hey, we've started testing this product. It's doing well. We expect to have a lot more orders, with a lot more consistency. Was wondering if we could get the sale price, something like that, and just try to negotiate with them directly. And then that way, it depends on how much volume you're doing. They might not be super willing to do that if you're only, giving them 2 orders a day. But the more volume that you're doing, the more likely they're, going to be willing to do that. So that's something you can do.
Okay, and then how would you? I mean, let's say that happens. Is there a separate way, like they set up a payment instead of like you ordering straight from the AliExpress page, or?
So what I've done in the past, what the supplier has done with me, is make a separate AliExpress page that is kind of like only for me, basically, or maybe only for some of their, for a couple of their, people who are drop shipping, whatever they're selling. That's usually how I've done it. And then once you're doing a lot more volume, and we can talk about this later on down the line, what you want to do is form a more direct relationship with them. And then instead of having to go through, because when you're doing dozens or hundreds of orders a day, going through Oberlo and doing everything manually is very difficult. So what you do is you export your CSV files and then you send them directly to the supplier. Like, for example, I was connected with my supplier on Skype, and then every day I would just export the CSV, send it to them, and then they would get everything processed. They would send me back the tracking information, and it was all done in kind of one fell swoop instead of having to go through each and every one manually.
Okay, that's pretty sick, actually. And then the second question I had was, I mean, like, orders are coming in. I actually had a really good day yesterday, even though like my Ali account is still being verified. I actually had to verify a second account because I stupidly uploaded my credit card info while I was boarding a plane, so they could check it. So I had to cancel that, make a new account. And actually, I lost my train of thought and what I'm trying to ask. Is,
talking about Alipay.
Yeah, Alipay. I mean, I think it only takes a couple of days, but the question I had is, I don't know if this like happens later in the B.O.S.S semester because I haven't fully finished it, but like in terms of how many days of information on the ads do you need to like then scale? It's probably answered later on, I'm guessing.
Say it one more time.
Sorry, how many days of running ads do you need to then know what you're doing in order to scale? But I think that might have been answered later in B.O.S.S build, but I just haven't gone there yet.
Yeah, so all that is in, what module is that? I want to say it's like module 15 or 16, somewhere around there. And there's like very specific guidelines for, after you start your ads and after they've been running for a while, kind of looking at the data and deciding what to do from there, when to kill ad sets, when to scale them, when to leave them alone, when to duplicate them, increase the budgets and everything like that. So that's all inside the program.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Probably something we're going to talk about loosely later on as well when we cover like expectations. Like expectations for Facebook ads. Like you don't need to start scaling like as soon as you have a product that sells like 10 pieces. Like sure, scaling is the goal. Scaling's the goal with all of this, but it's not something you have to do like immediately. Like all you guys, you've getting sales, that's great, but that doesn't mean you need to start scaling to the moon immediately. Like it's a process, it takes time. You want to scale month over month, not day by day kind of. So take a longer approach to this, and don't hurry into scaling would sort of be my advice.
Okay, thank you.
Drew, you got any other questions, or was that the main one?
I did have another question. Sorry, I'm like packing my hotel room. I have to check out in a second, so if it comes back to me, I'll let you guys know.
Sure.
All right, word. Nate, do you want to take questions first, or do you want to talk about our little topics that we have prepared?
Yeah, let's talk about our little topics. So we noticed there's some stuff, with you guys in the chat, concerns that y'all have raised, and just things that, we haven't covered yet that we want to kind of go over real quick just to, obviously kind of help you guys out. So the first thing is kind of about finding other suppliers. So obviously there's going to be situations where, and this is kind of just inevitable, where suppliers in your B.O.S.S build, for example, maybe the product, the link doesn't work and you have to find another supplier for the product. Or like in Choose case, for example, if the supplier raises the price dramatically, you might want to go try to find other suppliers. In general, it's just a good thing to know how to do so that you can always kind of be one step ahead, I guess, and you don't have to be scrambling to figure things out when something goes wrong with your supplier. Because that's just something that, with drop shipping, your suppliers, it's going to be, that's like kind of the, like, how do you say, like the uncontrolled variable per se, where you don't really have so much control over that. So you kind of have to be proactive in, dealing with the problems that are likely to arise, because that's just kind of how this goes, right? You're dealing with Chinese manufacturers who are not super reliable in a lot of cases. So you want to be able to kind of find other suppliers and have other options just in case. So pretty simple stuff. I mean, it's not anything too crazy. When this is probably a good idea to do in general, even if you don't have any problems yet. It's always good to have backups just in case. But basically, very simple. The way you find other suppliers is you can either search AliExpress for the same product that you're looking for a supplier for, or you can scroll down on the existing product page, the existing AliExpress linking, and then if you scroll down, there should be a section that says like, other suppliers or something like that, where it's the same products, but just from different suppliers. So you can use that to find other suppliers of the same product. Usually there will be more than one for any given product. Generally speaking, you're going to want to use the one that has like the best ranking, that's been around the longest, that is the cheapest. I'd say those are kind of the main factors. There's not really like a 100% clear-cut way to vet suppliers before you start working with them, because just kind of the nature of the game. And that's why it's really important that in my opinion, I think you should probably order the product from your supplier, and check the quality of it, see how it is, see how long it takes to ship and what kind of packaging it comes in, everything like that, before you actually really start scaling heavy. Because once you start scaling heavy, if you run into, if your supplier is doing things the wrong way, or they're doing something sketchy, or they're not delivering products, or whatever the fuck it may be, then you're going to run into issues, and then it's going to be a lot more, it's going to impact you a lot more when you're at scale than it will if you're not at scale. So that's something I definitely recommend doing as well. Scotty, what do you have to say about finding other suppliers?
Do that before you start scaling, not before you start testing. Like you don't
Correct.
want to get caught up waiting weeks for the product every time before you start running ads for a supplier. So like you start running ads, you start placing orders, and then if it's selling well, if you're ready to scale, if all the other boxes are checked, then you order the product, check it out, from that specific supplier and see whether like any red flags come up at that point. That's important to note as well. Then I also think you guys are kind of overcomplicating, at least some of you guys are overcomplicating this. I mean, finding another supplier, it's as simple as finding a product on Amazon. You enter the keyword in there, you look at related products, you look at the rating, you look at the reviews, you look at the images, you look at whatever. Like, it's just the same as any other type of online shopping, really. It just happens that you're doing it for a supplier as opposed to for an individual product. There isn't really that much difference there. The problem with, even if you order, like what Nate said before, even if you order a product and it arrives well, it's all fine, you're going to notice that suppliers, like good suppliers, they provide consistent quality. Bad suppliers, they aren't shit across the board. They tend to be good sometimes and shit other times. That's what a bad supplier looks like. So even with a bad supplier, you might order once and get it and it's all perfect. So you have to keep an eye on the customer support. You have to keep an eye on number of refunds, number of complaints, number of issues. And they tend to kind of come in batches is what I've seen them. All might be going well with a supplier, and then 1 week there's like a sudden increase in complaints, in late shipping, etc. So it's just something you always have to keep an eye on. Even though you're drop shipping, you still need to think about fulfillment. You still need to basically just think about how to improve that process. And then if you're really scaling up, then you want to move away from the AliExpress supplier and at least get your own private supplier in China or in the US with a fulfillment center. That's all outlined later on in the program, but just something to keep in mind. Not something you need right now, but something to keep in mind for the future.
Word.
What if like you're the new supplier, let's say you found a better supplier, but the product is more expensive on that supplier? Like for instance, I checked for a second one with mine and I found it, but again, it was just a $5 more expensive. Would you still like try to adjust the price just to get a better supplier, or stick with the shitty one? I don't know.
Well, I'd send them a message in that situation. If you're already selling the product from a different supplier and it's cheaper elsewhere, send him a message. If that fails, as in he doesn't get back to you, which is kind of a red flag in itself, or he doesn't agree to lower the price for you, then you can just try selling it if your margins allow for it. If your margins don't allow for it, try increasing the price on your store and then try selling it. That's really all the options you have as I see it.
Okay. And actually, I remembered my last question. Then that's it for me in terms of questions. Is that, when you get your Alipay account verified with one credit card, if you add another credit card, do you have to get that verified again separately, or is your whole account cool?
I don't know. I've never done that.
Hey, this is Jason. I've had to do that. If it flags, they'll throw another appeal and you'll have to wait the 3 days or whatever, but just use the old card. I've got two on my account just in case like one flags, because my VA doesn't know how to like handle that, and they'll go through the appeal process again. I've had to do that.
Thanks.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
And then, I mean, you can also, worst comes to worst, you can also just make a new AliExpress account and do it again. Like I've had multiple AliExpress accounts, and it takes 2 to 3 days to verify, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not any reason to stop selling or really worry about it at all. It's just kind of what you got to do.
That's actually one of the topics I wanted to mention today with these verifications and problems with the payment processors. I think we've had PayPal, Alipay, obviously, possibly Stripe, guys that have had these problems in the group. And the thing is, with all of these, they're kind of inevitable. Like Alipay, I think everyone goes through that, like that 2, 3, 4 day verification. PayPal putting a hold on your funds for 27 days, I think it is. Everyone goes through that with a new PayPal. That's pretty much inevitable. Personally, I think you should have enough cash flow or enough cash on hand that you don't run into cash flow issues. If you're really tight budget-wise, then you need to plan ahead and realize that PayPal may hold your funds for 27 days. So I think you have to plan ahead for that, because it is going to happen. If it hasn't happened yet, you're just lucky. It's about to happen. Yeah, make sure that you don't end up that you're spending so much on ads that you're reliant on the money coming straight back in, because if you're using PayPal, they're going to hold it. I don't use Shopify payments myself, just because it's not available in Switzerland. But I imagine it's similar. Maybe Nate, you can elaborate on that.
I've never had a problem with Shopify payments. That does happen sometimes, but I think generally the only reason that Shopify payments is going to make a hold is if you have a high chargeback rate. So you just want to be doing everything you can to minimize your chargeback rate. Obviously, getting back to customers when they actually, when they email you, making it very clear on your website, like, how to contact you, so that people don't just automatically go back to their bank and charge back. You want to make it very clear to them that they have a source, a route to go, a route of recourse if they want to get a refund. They don't have to just charge back to the bank automatically. And then I think with PayPal, you can upload the tracking numbers into PayPal as well. That might be something that we should put in there. I've done it and I've not done it, and I haven't seen too much of a difference. But it can help you win chargeback cases if you've uploaded the tracking information into PayPal, so that PayPal actually can see that, yes, the product has been shipped, yes, it's on its way, et cetera, et cetera. But other than that, are there other ways to avoid that?
But it's also the uploading tracking number and submitting proof. That's for winning chargeback cases with PayPal. It's not going to help you. I don't think it's going to help you with the initial freeze, because the initial freeze is just because, hey, this is a red flag, like brand new account. Why are they doing volume? That's why you're getting a freeze. It's not because you got a chargeback or a refund or anything like that. It's just a thing they do for every new account, basically. And I don't think uploading tracking number is going to help you there.
You guys are setting up brand new PayPal accounts. Like, what if you use the current PayPal account that you already have? Is it a special business account or what?
Yeah, you're going to want to set up a business PayPal account if you're using PayPal for it, yeah. I don't even think you can do PayPal Express checkout from a personal account.
I think, yeah. I don't remember exactly, to be honest with you. That was, because I know I used my original PayPal account that I'd been using for freelancing, and I didn't have any problems with that.
That was probably a business account. There's business and there's personal accounts. It was
a business account.
You can set up one business account and have it daryllecom@gmail.com and use that for everything. Set up that business account once. You're only going to get held once, and then if you want to run every new store through that, you can do theoretically. Problem is, well, you don't want to have multiple stores running through the same PayPal, because you're going to have to set the PayPal name to something and the customer's going to see that. I think you could use the same account for a new store if you've shut the old one down and just change the business name. But you have to be careful with that kind of stuff, because you get into legal problems, or not even legal problems, but PayPal verification problems, where when you hit a certain threshold, they're going to ask you to verify your identity, business identity. And if your business identity is your Shopify store and you don't have an LLC, or you don't have a doing business as or whatever, then that can be a bit problematic. I've had a lot of back and forth with PayPal on that. Again, Swiss legal structure different to the US. We don't have a doing business as. Setting up an LLC is a lot, not harder, but it's a lot bigger of a step compared to you guys. So I was able to kind of get around some of that. But you definitely want to be careful there with what you name your business inside of PayPal.
Yeah, so my plan was to have an overarching business, and all of my stores or future ventures would all be under that. And then eventually when I incorporate, that'll be like the corporation. So I would probably set up the PayPal under that main business name and just have all the stores run under that.
that works, but you're going to have to remember, if you have two stores and one is, say, in the dog niche and one is in the golf niche, then your customers from one of those stores is going to see the name of the other, or is going to see like an overarching name, and they're going to say, wait, I've never heard of this overarching name. Why are they charging me? Not a huge issue, but it is going to be something that comes up. You're going to get emails about that. But again, if you shut one store down and then start a second one, then you can change the name inside PayPal. You can change like the description inside PayPal, and you'll be fine. But if you're running multiple different ones from the same PayPal at scale, you're gonna get issues. If you're just testing, that's fine. That's what I do.
That's not something to worry about right now by any means. I don't think. Because I never even thought about that, and like I'm pretty sure I had something like that like on my stores at the beginning, and I don't even think it said the store name on the PayPal thing. And yeah, I got emails about it, but it didn't affect it in a drastic way or anything. But I think moral of the story is that you're going to have issues with these payment processors. That's just kind of how it goes, and you just want to deal with them as effectively as possible. Make sure that you're kind of prepared going into things and understand that that's a possibility that could happen, so that you're able to to deal with it when it happens, because that's just kind of it's the name of the game. It's part of the game. Whatever.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is relevant or not, but the approach I took was I had PayPal on until I had about $500 in PayPal sales, and then I turned it off to try to build credibility, because they say like you need to build a successful selling history. So instead of a bunch of money getting held up in PayPal, I just shut off, and I didn't really see my conversion rate dip like I would have expected. So that might be an option too, is just get some money in there so you can get some track record, and then shut it off for a while and just let those orders get delivered so they see that you're whatever. That might be an option too.
Yeah, from my understanding, what PayPal wants to see is consistency month to month in the amount of volume you're doing. So if you're doing, say, you do $1,000 in PayPal sales this month, they don't want to see you go from 1,000 to 100,000 in 1 month, right? That's going to cause some red flags. So you definitely want to be kind of intentional with that, and that's why the way of scaling like kind of a little bit more slowly and intentionally is going to be more beneficial, not just for scaling, but for your actual payment processing side of things as well. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's something it's just inevitable. It's going to happen. PayPal isn't even necessarily like, you don't absolutely need PayPal on your store. Like if you have issues with PayPal and you can't use PayPal, that's not a reason to not continue selling. I know multiple people who don't even use PayPal at all because they just don't like PayPal, and they still have successful stores. So don't get caught up in like the minutiae, whatever the word is. It's just kind of like smaller stuff that, like, again, when you're first starting, it seems like a really big deal, but in reality, it's really not. So don't get too caught up in like the small stuff, I would say.
Minutiae is my new favorite word.
Is that a word?
Minutia.
Minutia.
Minutia. That doesn't sound nearly as cool, dude. I like minutiae.
See, guys, if Nate can make it, we can all make it, man.
Dude, it doesn't require any sort of intelligence. I'm definitely not in the mega genius IQ level by any means. All right. So you guys got any more questions about the payment processing?
Maybe one little thing I can add. Again, not relevant right now since you're going to be selling to the US only to start. Once you start selling to Europe, you definitely need PayPal on there, because some European countries, PayPal is just way above credit cards. Like 60-70% of your orders are going to come through PayPal in some countries in Europe.
Cool.
All right, Nate, I think it's time for your motivational speech that you wanted to give.
My motivational speech. Y'all ready for this? I don't even know if I'm ready for this. So basically what I just wanted to touch on something real quick, which is basically like the stage that a lot of people get to, and then they get really discouraged and then kind of like fall off and they stop doing what they were doing that got them there in the first place. And then, things just don't end up going very well. So the stage I'm talking about is kind of like, once you've started, you set up your store, you started running ads, you've made sales, but maybe they're not profitable yet, or they're not super consistent yet. Like you've made sales, right? And I think most of you who started running ads have made sales. I don't think I've seen any cases so far where people have run ads and not made sales. But when they're in this stage where they're not profitable yet, or Ryan, did you raise your hand there?
I did, yeah.
All right, we'll talk about that. But when you're in that stage where you're maybe making some sales, but they're not profitable, not consistent, it's really easy to get discouraged and think, oh, this isn't going to work, because you just see you're losing money and it's not working. And that's really like, this is the first part. Like you start making sales and you almost can kind of trick yourself into thinking like, oh shit, this is awesome, it's working. But just because you're making sales doesn't necessarily mean that it's, working in the fact that you're profitable, right? You actually have to get from that stage to the stage where you're profitable in order for this to be, something that actually makes you money, right? So I would say that it's totally normal to be in that situation. Starting out, it's very rare. Like, Jason came in here and he just immediately took his build and just started doing like 1K days off the bat. That's not normal. Jason, from my understanding, Jason, tell me if I'm wrong, but Jason has prior experience with e-com. Like he knows what he's doing. So for some of you guys that might be, more beginner, that's totally normal. And that's just kind of how it goes when you're first starting. And the best advice that I can give you is, once you're at that stage, what you need to be doing is just testing and tweaking one big thing at a time, right? We kind of go over that in the program. Your offer, offer/products, your audiences, your angles, your ads. When things are working, but they're not working as well as they could be, you need to be testing things constantly. Test one big thing at a time. Let the ads run for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, see the results, and then from there you can kind of take the data that you've gained from that test, and then put it into your next one, right? Okay, so this worked, this didn't. Doing this got me better results here. All right, keep doing that, but then this didn't. Okay, let's try something different there. And it's like a process of elimination, where, again, like I said this last week, you're not necessarily trying to find what does work. You're just trying to eliminate what doesn't. And sometimes it can be kind of a bitch, and you can get discouraged. But ultimately, this is not all sunshines and rainbows. Like if you want to get to that point where it's all Lambos and rainbows, whatever the fuck. This is like the tough part that you have to get through. And this is kind of really what separates the people who are able to take this and do it really, really well, and the people who kind of like do it and, make a couple sales and they kind of give up. So it's totally normal to be there. Don't get fucking discouraged, because, ultimately you're at this point, once you're making sales, you're very close, to getting to that point where you're actually profitable. And in my opinion, it would be just it'd be so dumb to give up there, because you're so close anyway.
Yeah, you guys, you need to see some perspective. Like, go on Facebook. If any of you have a Facebook account, go join some e-com groups, some dropshipping groups. Read through the comments there. Like, I bet like 70-80% in there like don't make sales ever. Like, here you guys are, like week 1 or 2, you're making sales already. Like, that's week 1. You're not supposed to be successful in week 1. You're not really supposed to be successful on month 1. You're not really supposed to succeed with your first store. Like, this all just takes time, and you have to go through that process of elimination. There's different products, different angles, different ad copy, different everything, and just slowly get there. And then first you're making sales but not profitable. Then you're making sales but not quite profitable. Then you're not making sales but you're sort of breaking even. And then you go from there and you get that breakthrough and you're profitable. And then from there, probably you're going to fall flat in your face and something fucks you up, payment processor, AliExpress supplier, something like that, and it's back down below profitable. And then you have to get back to break even, and then you have to get back to profitable, and then you probably fall down again. And that's just the way it goes. And eventually you get there where it's stable, profitable, and then you can start thinking about scaling. Like, a lot of you guys are asking questions about scaling right now. You are not close to scaling yet. Unless you really like hit it out the park week 1, you guys shouldn't be thinking about scaling yet. You should be thinking about finding really good angles and getting really nicely profitable. because there's no scaling secrets that will allow you to scale something that's barely profitable. Like if you're currently doing 20, 30% profit margin, which is good, and at scale, that's what you're going to see generally. But if that's what you're currently seeing without scaling, then you're not ready to scale yet. You have to see a bigger margin at these low numbers before you can really scale up. And there's no Facebook ad secret that allows you to scale something up that's only barely profitable.
And that's the margin including taking out what you're spending on the ads, right?
Yeah. Of course, everything.
And actually, Scott, I've got a question for you. In terms of like when you run your ads, are you running them in your local currency, right? Or are you doing it in US dollars?
I set up my ad account in US dollars.
Okay. Because my ad account, I did in Canadian since all my bank accounts are Canadian. And then, but my Shopify store is in the US. But I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. I've always had it in US dollars. I've never even considered doing it in Swiss francs. With Ecom Scalers, we run 2 ad accounts in different currencies, and it's kind of a pain, especially ones in Indian rupees. And try looking up the exchange rate for that. I'm not really sure if there's anything that goes against having the ad account in US dollars, honestly. I really don't see a reason not to.
I guess the only difference is just that like when Facebook charges your card, it's just that your bank then applies whatever currency conversion rate that they have, and then that's what you get charged, I guess. The same thing with
you're gonna get screwed over on the currency exchange.
The same thing with AliExpress. Like when I order from AliExpress, I order in Canadian. Since I could try and set up a US bank account maybe, but
I have a US dollar bank account, which is different. So I have a Swiss franc and a US dollar bank account, both in Switzerland.
Maybe I should do that, actually. That's a good idea.
Maybe something to look into. But then it also depends on your credit.
Something you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry, what did you say?
Like, it really depends on your credit card then, though, not on your bank account, perhaps.
Yeah, so get a US credit card.
Well, actually, I guess for Ali too.
But yeah, you should probably have a US dollar bank account because you're gonna get screwed on the exchange rate. Like it's minimal. It's the sort of thing that you don't think about day to day. But once you have like decent sized wires going, you get screwed up there with the exchange rate. And especially if you're paying people in US dollars and money is coming in US dollars, like switching money from US dollars to Swiss francs and then back to US dollars just to send it out, it's just money you're losing for nothing. So it's probably worth having a US dollar bank account at some point.
All right, thank you.
Ryan, tell me more about what you're doing. You said you haven't made a sale yet. Have you changed your ads since I gave you some suggestions?
Yeah. So, I kind of kept, I changed the pictures up a little bit. I updated the Facebook and the company logo. And then I simplified the copy. I took a lot of the factual stuff out of it. But the new one just started running last night. So the fact that I haven't made any sales isn't just necessarily big news from the first campaign. I also kind of threw in a kid angle in the copy where it's a waterproof speaker and they're colorful and that kind of thing. Like it's a good thing to get your kids to enjoy bath time a little bit.
Was that angle in your build?
Oh.
So you came up with that angle yourself?
Did.
That is your life now. Congratulations. This is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. Figuring out new ways to sell an existing product. That is your job. It's all your jobs.
Yeah.
It's so fun too, man. I love that shit.
One of my questions, if that is a good idea to like, okay, I've got this. I know it deviated a little bit from what was given in the build, but I thought, it seems like given the type of product it is, the type of, that could be an angle that might work for parents that have kids. And when Nate actually uploaded that resource today with the Ad Spy, I think it was called, like a lot of the similar products of mine, it was just videos of people spraying water on a speaker and saying how great it was and, being in the shower. So I thought that might be a little bit of a different take than what seemed to just pull up right away when I looked at the ad spy.
Yeah, so if you're asking me, is that angle going to work? I have no idea.
Right.
If you're asking me, is that a good idea to test it? Absolutely. That is what you need to do. Like, these angles in the builds are to get you started. These are the ones that our team came up with, but it is by no means an end-all be-all. Like with my Facebook ads agency, we come up with 2 to 3 new angles for each client each week to test. And these are all clients that are already established. Like, we know this is going to sell, but the question is, can we find something new that also sells? And once you have a product that's up and running, that gives you the extra benefit that perhaps you'll tap into like a different audience or a different subset of the Facebook interests or the Facebook lookalike that you're targeting. So you always want to be testing new angles.
And then
Absolutely.
with testing new angles, so I kind of kept the angles you guys gave in the beginning in there, but also kind of pivoted to the kid angle as like a, hey, also, is it smart to combine 2 different angles, or is it better to just stick to it and test the one, because then you know which one got the customer?
I like to stick to one, at least in the beginning. I wouldn't start mixing it too much, because I think you should test the kid angle on its own. Like, that's a separate angle to whatever else. And sometimes they're not distinct, where it's like ease of use could be an angle, and you can mix kid plus ease of use, but I wouldn't mix kid plus take this to a Vegas pool party. Like, obviously that one doesn't work, but like there's some things that are kind of universal, that are sort of universal angles, and there's ones that are very, very specific, and I wouldn't mix 2 different specific ones.
Does that switch a little bit for the product page copy, where you can go through different scenarios where the product might be useful, where you can mix a little bit more?
Can you clarify what exactly you mean?
So I see what you're saying, like where you stick to a specific angle with an ad, but maybe on the product page when they get to the website, there might be different ways of describing uses for that one product. Is that a different scenario where you can actually start mixing a little bit?
Absolutely. Especially because you're not going to know exactly what's working. Because if you have one ad angle that takes off, you'd probably want to cater your product description to that ad angle. If that's the angle you're going to be running with, you'd want to have it congruent. But if you don't know, if you're testing a bunch of stuff and you don't really know what's working yet, then yeah, you definitely want a more general product description that has some different angles, has different uses, etc.
Okay.
And ultimately, guys, like, that's why market research is so important. That's why we put such detailed information about how to do market research in these multiple different ways, and like why we emphasize it so much is because that's how you find these angles, right? You can find them by looking at your competitors' Facebook ads. You can find them through market research, and there's probably a couple other ways you can find them too. But by looking at what your customers and the people who are actually buying the types of products that you're selling are actually saying, and actually, you know, the people leave reviews on Amazon. Like Amazon reviews are some of the most valuable, you know, market research tool, whatever, that you can have, because it's actually people that have bought the product that you're selling, right? Or a similar product, whatever it may be. And you can just scroll through those and you'll start to see, and you'll be able to see, like, when you start thinking in terms of angles like this, you'll read some of these reviews and then you'll be able to see, oh, that's an angle, that's an angle, that's an angle. And then you can use those to test. And that's why it's so, you know, key that you're constantly doing market research and constantly kind of having like an ear to the ground in regards to your market and who you're selling to.
Another way you can find a new angle, or something you should probably get into the habit of doing, is now that you're running Facebook ads, go read through the comments on your ads. Negative, positive, like obviously you're going to hide the negative ones, but take note of anything you see in there that could be used as an angle. Like if you see discussions like, I don't know if this will fit me, then you know fit is a concern. If you see an angle like, what else could there be? Like, I don't know if I'd be comfortable wearing this, then that could be an angle. Like, the comments are going to show you exactly what the people are thinking who you're showing the ads to. And that's just prime market research ground. And of course, it's not something you can do up front. I guess you could look at your competitors' ads comments. That's something you should do too, I guess. But just get into the habit of doing that daily, weekly, whatever, with your own ads for sure.
Word. All right. So what questions y'all got for us? I think we hit all the pre-planned topics that we had.
Well, we've still got Charles's question that he posted. I don't think you've seen that, Nate. Let me just.
Yeah, I was looking for it. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, he left it as a reply, but not posted to the entire.
Y'all kind of hit on it a little bit, just on like the Facebook ads expectation. That's really all it was. So you kind of covered it in a way.
Let me see. Let me see if there's anything there we can add. Yeah.
Hey, this is Jason. I don't know, something that helped for me, and I don't. You good? My line is lagging really bad, so it might be delayed. But something that helped for me on like mindset was that you're like buying data from Facebook. If you look at it as an exchange that way, it like allows you to be more patient with your ad sets. Like I don't know who said that, but kind of changed my mind. Like I don't look at like after I start an ad set, I don't even like open the damn thing for like 4 days. I just like I'm gonna buy 8 hours worth of data or whatever. Go back and like, I think it was one of the mom guys said like, if after 3 comments kill it, otherwise let it kill. Or basically, it was very loose, the anxiety of like wanting to see if you got sales and stuff. So I don't know, that helped me a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're breaking even right now, like that in and of itself is a win, because that means that you have something that people are buying and you're not losing money on it. And even if you are losing money on it a little bit, like that's still honestly a win, because you're buying that data. And then once you have that data, then it becomes so much easier, because Facebook is able to actually match up exactly who's going to buy what you're selling, instead of you just cold targeting it, right? And then you can get into, upsells, increasing your average order value and things like that, which can, just those couple tweaks can make you profitable as well. So it's definitely a process, but it's worth it. Like if you stick with it and you don't give up, it's 100% worth it. And it's just, it's just kind of getting through the tough part that most people aren't able to get through in order to get to that point, because that's really what separates, the winners from the losers, I suppose.
Charles, you're new to e-com, right? Or if you had like some successful stores in the past?
No, I've gone through a couple of unsuccessful ones.
All right. So what you have to realize is that at this point, you're a novice. Like you suck at marketing. You don't know anything. And despite that, you're at break even. Like, do you realize how amazing that is? All you have to do is actually get good at this stuff.
Right.
And it's practically like a foregone conclusion that you're going to be profitable. Like within a week or two, you've been able to get to break even. Now you just need to keep testing, keep getting better, keep writing better ad copy, improving your page. And like, it doesn't matter how much effort you put into your Shopify store on day one when you set it up, you're always going to improve it. Like 2 months from now, if you keep running that store, it's going to look better and it's going to convert better than it does now. That's like almost always the case, because at some point, like you've just done all you can do on day one, and you need to start running ads, and you want to get running, and then down the road, you're going to continuously improve everything. You're going to improve your ads, you're going to improve your store, and everything's just going to get better from there. That's the one thing to remember. Then again, I see in your sort of question, haven't been able to scale up in any of those cold targets. You're not supposed to be scaling up in week 1 or week 2 yet. Like that comes down the road. Feel like I'm heading in the right direction? Absolutely. If you're moving towards break even or at break even, you're absolutely moving in the right direction. That's a great sign. If you see break even return early on, getting into lookalike audiences with VC, yeah, okay, that's fine. It's something to test. Like the view content lookalike, it's not going to be. It might not be better than your interest targeting, but it's something to test. It's just an extra thing that you're going to try and run through. But it's nowhere near as powerful as the purchase lookalikes, obviously. But once you get that stage, you can test them, and then you go through it. You go to add to cart, and initiate checkout, all a process. Yeah, we've talked about expectations a bit already, but I want to tell you sort of actually about one of my stores I'm running right now, and that I've been running for almost 2 months now. And I'm at the same stage as you're at. I'm at just about break even. Some days I'm profitable, some days I'm under profitable. And that's just part of it. Now, would I do that for 2 months if it were just a dropshipping store? Probably not. The reason I'm doing it is because I've like working on actual physical products I'm going to sell. We're going to have better margins, better branding, better everything. But if I'm at break even, I'm happy. I'm buying data for free. I'm testing stuff for free. Like one of my Facebook ads, media buyers is running the account. My copywriters are writing for the account. So I'm training my people and giving them real world feedback for free. It's not a bad place to be, honestly, break even, especially if you can get there quickly. So just something to sort of keep in mind. And then, of course, the stuff Nate said about upsells and back-end email, all the technical stuff. But just if you realize how great a position it is to be, that you can test stuff and learn e-com without having to lose money on ad spend. Like that's crazy valuable that you've been able to get there this quickly. You're in a good position. Don't let Jason's results or anybody else's results make you think that you're missing something. You're absolutely not missing something. It is not normal to get a store from zero to break even in a couple of weeks as a beginner.
For sure. Yeah, sounds good. That's kind of that was the kind of thought process I was having, but just wanted to have that kind of reinforced by y'all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I think if I didn't have Scotty telling me kind of that same thing when I was first starting, I probably would have gone crazy. Like, because you're doing something new, you're spending money on something, and you just see, the goal, right, is to be making a shit ton of money, and then you're not making a shit ton of money, but it's kind of working, and then you're like, oh, am I doing this the right way? Am I in a good position? Blah blah blah, and you just start overthinking, and that's just like the number one thing is just like stop thinking. Like, the less you think and the more you just go out, and when you start having those thoughts and those feelings where you're like kind of getting like anxious or nervous, or you're like not sure if you're doing things the right way, just stop thinking and then just either do something about it or realize that you probably just need to let ads run for a little bit and see the results and then start tweaking things. Right. It's just kind of it's a slow-ish process. I mean, it's really, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not very slow at all. Getting a profitable business off the ground in a couple months is pretty fast in my opinion, but either way, that's just kind of how the game works. And, you just got to get through. This is like kind of the tough part, I suppose. And once you get through that, it's a lot better from there.
And I mean, overthinking is just so typical. Like, that's going to kill you. And it's kind of inevitable. You can't completely turn it off. Tips, recommendations: don't look at your Facebook ads dashboard all day. That's the big one. Don't look at Facebook groups. Don't watch YouTube videos. Don't watch stuff about alternative options because maybe I should be doing that. Like, what you're doing is already working. You just need to hone it. You need to improve it. You don't need a new approach. You don't need to start running PPE ads. You don't need to move to ClickFunnels. You don't need to do any of that stuff. You just need to keep chipping away, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and just slowly improving your store and your ads and everything.
Cool. What else y'all got for us?
Just one. When we're running ads, should we be sticking to, this might be a dumb question, but should we be sticking to one product at a time within our build, or should we test multiple products?
It depends on your budget and your risk tolerance, I suppose. I would probably recommend testing one product at a time. If you have 10 grand in the bank that you're just ready to blow on ads, then I mean, maybe that's a different story. But I personally, one product at a time, fucking 5 ad sets, $10 a day, get the data, see what's working and what's not, tweak things as you go. And if it's not showing any promise whatsoever, then move on to the next one. But usually, with all the tools and everything that you guys have, you should be able to get things profitable over time. So there might be some specific cases where, things just don't show promise and you want to move on to the next product. But that's kind of what those other modules are for, about Facebook ads, and kind of looking at your data, reading your data, and being able to determine, from there, all right, what's the next best step? Do I need to scale this? Do I need to keep running it? Do I need to, tweak different things? Should I just kill it all together? That's what those modules are for.
honestly, even if you had 10K in the bank to just burn, I still wouldn't test multiple products off the bat. Do one at a time, focus on improving that, focus on figuring that out. Because if you get into the mindset of, let's just do a different product, then you're never going to figure out how to sell anything. Like, if you decide, like in your case, you haven't made any sales yet, if you've improved your ads, you've improved your store, you think you've done everything there is, and you just don't know what else you can try, you don't believe that you can sell this product, then shut down the campaign and move on to the next one. But don't start running two things at the same time, because you're just going to half-ass both of them, and you're going to end up turning your wheels, honestly. Because with dropshipping, like, there's an endless supply of products that you could test, and the people who go deep on one product, one or two products, one niche, those are the guys who are gonna really figure it out, as opposed to the guys who test 50 products. Like, I'd rather see you test 10 angles for 2 products than 5 products with 2 angles each. That's actually something where I've sort of changed my perspective on in the last 6 months or so, working with clients more. Like, even if like a lot of people are doing well and then it dips, and I think, let's try different products. Like, you have to tell them, no, like, let's figure out how to get this product working again. Like, we know it sells, we know people want it. Why try something completely new? Let's just get this back, get this working again. Let's try different angles, different creatives. So I'd rather you focus on fewer products and really, really hone in on selling those to the best of your ability. And then only switch if you really think, I don't think I can make this work at all. This is hopeless. And hopefully that's based on the data, not just like a bad night's sleep and a hangover and you're fed up.
That sounds good.
All right, I think we're taking questions now. So I guess we'll just go through it. If you got any other right now, Frederick or Ryan?
Nope. I'm good for now.
Daryl?
Yeah, I don't have any right now off the top of my head. I'm about a week behind. I had to do some travel last week, so kind of put me behind, but I'll be back on track this week.
Dude, there's no such thing as being behind. Like, this is your own store. You're not competing with anyone else in here. Like, that's why we didn't set it up as a week by week thing. It's, you go through it at your own pace. Like, some of you've got more demanding jobs, some of you've got more freedom. That's just the way it is. You put in the work when you can. Jason, have you got any questions there from your little Italian apartment?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I've scaled a lot. I know you guys are scaling. I ended up doing against the grain of cases. I just used one ad set and did no interest targeting just to see, and it ended up like working for some reason. I do have a couple of things that I run, so I've got like some familiarity. But I've been testing a lot with my other thing, and like literally something for me, like probably a week before I signed up for this for me, and just started booming. So I figured test my strategy. Yeah, I mean, like I've got over 100 orders, and it's like so I don't have to do as much work for the bow shipping times and whatnot. So that's why I started spending less, was just to mitigate the amount of email I get probably pretty soon. But yeah, I'm focusing my energy since on the marketing side of it. Like I've taken a lot of what you guys have done in the marketing and just been messing around with that, because I think the funnel's set up fairly good to convert anyway. But I don't have any pressing questions right now. I've got like marketing stuff that I'll probably just ask in the channel, but that's kind of what my focus has been on, is just like figuring out how to get people to click the ads at a high click rate, like honing in on now.
All right, sounds good. Seems like you're going to need a VA or an assistant soon if you haven't got one already.
Yeah, I've got a VA that does all the orders and stuff, but I haven't quite figured out how to like train a VA to do like email. I just don't know that yet, so I got to like figure that out, because right now I answer all the emails.
How's their English?
For the person who handles the orders, it's not great.
Yeah, well, you need someone who speaks English, and then the training kind of takes care of itself. Like you know the emails that you get most often. You show them the response, and then they'll be able to figure out most things. Then in the beginning, you just answer all their questions, and then 1 or 2 weeks in, they'll be able to do it themselves. And yeah,
I was thinking about setting up like kind of like a. Go ahead.
Yeah, you probably want to fire that VA that doesn't speak much English, because it makes a lot of sense to have the person doing customer emails and fulfilling orders be the same person. Like having 2 different people for that just adds complexity unnecessarily. Yeah, because you want somebody who fulfilled the order themselves and who's a bit more familiar with how the whole thing works. With everything you do, I'd rather have 1 person than 2 people, if it's all possible. And it's not like they're highly skilled order fulfillers.
So I do have a question then.
Go ahead.
That's true. What are you in US dollars, what are you paying a VA to do? Like if you have someone who does that, what's the going rate, I guess, would be the question.
For full time, it's usually $100 a week. You can probably get someone for probably 60, 70. You could probably get someone on the low end. I tried to find people who can do other stuff, notably some design skills or an eye for design. I look for people with really good English, or written English. I don't really care how they talk. So I tend to pay like about $100 out the gate. So, but that's a decent salary for a VA. And if you're not needing them full time, then that's very, very good.
Okay, that's good to know. And do you use Upwork, or are you using the onlinejobs.ph? Is that what you're using?
Well, I'm currently not using anything because I've had my VA for quite a while now, and I only have 1 currently. Probably my next VA, if for when I hire them, is going to be somebody that she knows, so she's going to manage them. I use online jobs, or I used online jobs to hire her. I don't recommend Upwork because with Upwork, people on Upwork, they're freelancers looking for jobs. And if someone's a freelancer looking for a job, then their priority is getting new clients in and fulfilling the service as quickly as possible so that they can get more new clients in. Whereas if someone's on online jobs, then they're looking for, I'm sure there's people who see it as freelancing as well, but they're looking for full-time or part-time work, and they're not constantly looking for new jobs. Like Upwork has more of a project feel to it rather than a long-term commitment feel to it. Plus you have to pay them a percentage the whole time, which is kind of a pain. So I use Upwork or I have used them for software developers. I'd consider Upwork if you need somebody to do custom coding, or you need someone to work on your site speed for your Shopify store, because that's a project. But for actually hiring people, I don't like Upwork.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got to figure that out then, because the the hill of emails that are going to be coming soon, I got to figure something out.
Yeah, just looking. It's module 17, right? It's in the program. That was one of the that was part of Scotty's dropshipping course, and I swear to God, that was one of the most helpful parts of that entire thing, because I would have had no idea how to do that otherwise. I would have had absolutely no idea that onlinejobs.ph even existed. I would have had no idea what kind of tests to run them through to fucking vet them or anything like that. So definitely would recommend checking that out.
Okay.
I definitely recommend you check that out too, Nate.
Oh, fuck off. I'm done with VAs. I'm only hiring Americans now.
Hey, have either of you tried to go through some of these VA companies?
No.
Instead of going through onlinejobs.ph?
Again, it goes into the incentives. You don't want to hire somebody who works for an agency. You want to hire someone who works for you.
That makes sense.
Like you want, like I invest in training my VA. My VA, like I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, I posted the stats from my ClickFunnels account today because I've been doing this little test for ecom, and I actually had FA train my VA to build funnels. Like I invest in training them. I wouldn't do that if they were working for someone else, because then they're not going to stay with me. Plus, you also want to always work with the same person. And I've had her for a year and a half now, and she's not going anywhere. Like I say that now, knock on wood, but I treat her well, I pay her well, I train her. You want someone like that who's going to be loyal to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
She's got to be one of the smartest VAs out there.
I don't know.
With how much training you put her through, she was fucking booking.
Oh yeah.
She was booking when we were in Thailand. She was booking our like events and shit.
Well, she booked the boxing ring. She booked one thing.
Come on, let me exaggerate a little bit.
She also has a marketing degree, which is more than you have, Nate. More than any of us have.
Damn, dude. That's more than you have, too. I have more than you have, bitch. You haven't even been to college.
True.
At least I got a couple years under my belt. All right. All that aside, I think the only people we haven't really heard from so far are Eric and Justin. Justin said he's good for now. He's in a loud coffee shop, so staying on mute. Eric, you got anything, brother? Do.
Silent type, it seems.
Maybe he's typing.
Yo.
What's up?
What up?
I'm about to take off. I'm gonna go get some dinner.
That's a good decision. Italian food, that's a shit.
All right. Nothing from Eric. Anyone else? Ryan, you look a little antsy over there, bro. What's on your mind?
No, my office chair is just uncomfortable.
Say again?
No, I was just saying my office chair is uncomfortable.
Are you in like an office, like your work office?
Yeah, this is where I work. Yeah. Nobody else is here, obviously. But
I like it. Using the company resources to do non-company shit.
well, all my headphones and all that stuff is here, so I just figured I'd come in anyway.
All right. Well, I don't think that me or Scotty had anything else that we wanted to talk about. I mean, this is really like, the length and what we talk about in here. It's really heavily determined by y'all. Obviously, we have some stuff that we like to talk about on each call usually. But ultimately, we're here to help you all in your specific situations, hear you out in your, whatever's going on with what you're doing specifically, and try to give you specific kind of one-on-one help. So now would be the time if anyone has anything else.
Good.
Glad to hear they're helpful, Justin.
Justin, did you get access to semester 2? Okay. I'm being told in my earpiece that all right, he said he did. Work.
Yo, would you do this? Just chill. Yeah, my roommate and his buddies came back and we just hung out and watched.
Scotty, you got anything to share, man? You got any valuable insights racking around that Scottish Swiss brain of yours?
No, I'm just waiting to get off this call so I can stop listening to Andy in the background. The guy's driving me insane.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My AirPods got fucked and now they won't. My Bluetooth won't turn on now.
All right, then. Guess we got some planning of flights to do.
Yeah, we do. All right, fellas. Well, I think that's all we got.
Actually, one little update. that like this is going to be like the last live call where it's like this, where you can all like just talk on it, because when we open it again in June 1st, hoping we get some sales again, then the group's going to be too big to have each person on. So it's just going to be the two of us, two big faces, two big beautiful faces. Plus you guys can type in the questions in the chat and communicate like that.
I think the video will be the same. Y'all can choose to be on video or not, but I think we're going to set it so that everyone's automatically muted when they join. So then instead of just, unmuting yourself and talking, you'll just type out your questions and stuff in the chat. So ideally, it would be definitely beneficial to write out any questions you have, throughout the coming, the next like week and a half or so. Whenever you come across something and, you have a question, maybe something that, obviously if you have a question that needs immediate attention, then drop in, in Boss Builder in the Slack chat. But if you have something, that you want us to talk about in here, make a note of it and then, bring it, ready to go on the call. So that way that we can kind of address it and, you can even send it to us beforehand if you want, if it's something that's, real in depth or anything like that. But ultimately, this is this is a two-way street. We can't, we can only help you guys so much as you guys are asking questions and everything like that. So I'd say that's the only real main thing is just going to be the chat. Is going to be where y'all are asking questions as opposed to unmuting yourselves and actually talking. Just a quick cue, actually, starting my ads at midnight. Better to start all ad sets at $15 if I can afford it. I don't know. I would say it's up to you. Personally, I would probably just start with $10 a day. Just follow everything like we have laid out in the program. That's what we do. That's what's worked for us. Is that going to change things significantly? Like probably not. But I'd probably just err on the safe side and just stick with $10 a day, 5 ad sets, and then you can start scaling from there. Once you have something that's working.
Even if you did $15, you'd still want to wait like 2-3 days before like deciding to cut stuff. Like unless it looks really, really bad. So yeah, I'd stick to $10 a day. Like if you start with more than that, you're gonna end up like unnecessary times where you lose money where just something's wrong. Like I honest to God, I had launched one of the funnels I tested like this weekend. I got a bunch of clicks and very few contents. So I was trying to figure out why there was a huge drop-off from link clicks to few contents. And the answer is because I included the URL wrong. Like I typed in the URL without the www or www. And with ClickFunnels, that just wouldn't work for some reason. And I didn't test the link. And that was $50 out the door. In your case, it would be $75 out the door, and that's just unnecessary. So yeah, always test the link.
I had a question real quick because I had gotten away from just doing. So I started running ads just to the U.S. and I had like CPMs of like 45 and 50 for like a week.
Jesus.
And so I've since in the last week I've been running to like U.S., Australia, Canada, and U.K. and like my CPMs are now down by like $9, $10, $11. Is that like I'm targeting like the big English speaking countries? Like good plan?
Yeah. So are you getting sales in like CPM's just one metric? I mean 40 is insane.
Oh yeah,
high.
I'm getting sales in Australia, Canada, UK, like US, like they're all pretty even.
Were you getting sales in the US as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
And is your cost per purchase significantly lower or your
Yeah,
ROAS
like,
significantly better?
All the metrics are better.
Well, I guess that's your answer then.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't know if like that, like just going for English speaking countries or just, what a next step if I was getting away just from US was. Cause like, I mean, my CPC was like $1.50 if I just targeted US and now it's down like 20, 30 cents.
You have to look at your shipping options. So
yeah.
Generally all e-packet countries are going to be fine. Right. You may even be able to find some extra countries outside of ePacket that are fine with the shipping options that your supplier lists. And then that's something to test. Again, like, was that in your build? No. Was that in the program? No, don't start off with worldwide. But this is your job to find these ideas and test them. Like, this is your life now.
Sure. Yeah.
And I guess that's actually one of the good things about AliExpress, that it doesn't really matter whether you ship to the US or somewhere else. Shipping times are going to be comparable for a lot of places. Some countries suck. Some countries really do suck, and you're going to learn that over time. Serbia is really bad.
Anywhere in Africa is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, I've got a US supplier for one of my products, and then it sucks because US is great, but I want to test Europe, and it just doesn't work with the shipping costs and the shipping times. So I guess that's kind of like around the way, it's kind of an advantage, because shipping is shipped everywhere. It doesn't really matter whether they're doing US or UK, Australia.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, I figured a lot of the answers to all this stuff is just test it and see. But
that is the answer to pretty much everything, always. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what we give you is the guideline, what to start with, what to base your assumptions on. Like, this is what you begin with. This is like the control. And then you test variations, you test different ideas based off of that.
So that's a good way to put it. I like that.
It's like, even
yeah, I like that.
I don't like PPE ads. I don't like running them, but like my Facebook agency, we test add to cart optimization, we test PPE, we test everything, but we test and compare to something that's working. And because you guys have got new stores, you don't have anything that's working. So you need to have the best practice, the purchase USA only, and then you can test other ideas and compare it to that and see how it works.
Word.
Cool. Anything else, folks?
Nope, thanks, guys.
Good. Daryl, you good?
Good. No, I'm good, thanks.
Sir Charles Knight? All good?
Yeah, all good. Rolling.
I would ask Eric, but I don't know if he can. I don't know if he's even there. Justin said, thanks, gents. All right, I'm assuming that means he's all good. All right, fellas. Well, I appreciate y'all being here. We appreciate y'all being here. If I can speak for Scotty. And yeah, keep fucking doing what you're doing. Keep killing it. The B.O.S., the B.O.S. Slack chat is going to be growing, June 1st. Going to have more people in here. Going to have some new initiations. So make sure y'all haze them real good. Make fun of them and don't do that. Maybe do it. Maybe a little bit. But yeah, I guess we'll. Other than that, we'll talk to y'all in the chat. If y'all have any questions or anything, you know where to put it. Oh, and then just a little update as well. Y'all saw that the resources and the connections channels as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. We want to make it, because this is kind of just going to keep growing. Right, we're gonna have more and more people in here, and we want to make sure that it's really high quality and that the resources and everything are being utilized and being kind of like built in the most effective and efficient way possible, so that everyone is kind of helping each other succeed. Because ultimately, that's how we feel this is going to be the most beneficial for everyone, is if everyone's kind of sharing what they learn, sharing resources, sharing connections, and just doing everything that they can to not only succeed themselves but help everyone succeed. So. Definitely, be on the lookout in there. If you see anything, definitely drop some stuff in there. I think those will be really useful, especially the resources one. And we'll be dropping stuff in there as well. And other than that, I think that's about all I got. Scott, you got anything else?
No, that's all for now.
Cool. All right, fellas. Well, we will talk next call. And other than that, have a great fucking week and talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
Salute.